Okay, we're continuing with the best of the West in art, music, movies, and books. We're on page 472. A couple quotes, and then we'll get to the paintings. This is the quote of Nikita Khrushchev. He was the leader of Soviet Union Russia, around 1960. And here's what he said about Christianity. He says, "We have no use for the Gospels. If somebody slaps you, turn the other cheek. No. We have shown that if anyone slaps us on the cheek, they will get their head kicked off." And I'm just showing you that's the mentality of Russia. Stalin said, we are based on science, so we have no use for religion. Religion is against science. The opposite is true. Science comes from the Catholic Church. Modern scientific method comes from the Catholic Church. And the vast majority of decent science that's ever been done has been done by Christians. That's just a fact. Look it up. This is all in books. Anybody can find this in 5 seconds. And why does modern science become a joke? Why has it become a joke? 85% of cancer research is false. Why is that? Almost all this drug research, it's false. It's not true. Why has this happened? Because you have atheistic Darwinism has taken charge. It's taken over our school system, university system, our graduate school education. And what atheistic Darwinism says, it says every man's for himself, survival of the fittest, which means it's okay to lie, that everyone's just a talking monkey, you have no obligation to other people. And people don't understand that. They think atheism's okay. It is not okay. It means that the truth doesn't matter. It means that individuals don't matter. It means that freedom is not legitimate. Okay? Whoever has the power decides what the rules are, and everybody else can shut the hell up. That's what it means. Okay? It's always amazing to me. The average pro thinks the world likes them and the system is designed to help. No, the world hates you and it thinks that the place is overpopulated and it thinks you need to go. Okay? That's what the system really thinks. Okay? If you have any brain in your head and you know any history. Okay, the next quote from 2 Corinthians from the Bible, chapter 2, verse 17. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. That is true too. Matthew, chapter 12, verses 25 to 27. If a kingdom is divided against itself, it cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, it cannot stand. No one can enter a strong man's house and steal his possessions unless he first ties up the strong man. Then he can plunder the house. Who is the strong man of the West? It's the white Christian man. And what is happening to him? He's been told he's a racist, asshole, piece of crap, and he's being tied up because they think the rest of them can't defend the place. That's what's happening. Feminize them, give them a crappy education, encourage them to take drugs, fill their heads with all kinds of nonsense. They're going to be an easy pushover. That's the plan. Okay? It's so obvious. The most obvious thing in the world, but the average, gap-toothed moron of a pro doesn't get it. And because of that, the plan is successful. The West is being destroyed. And what's going to replace it? Drag Queen Story Hour? What the heck is that? People don't even know. The average younger generation, they don't even know they come from the greatest civilization and culture ever in the history of the world by far. They don't even know that. Matthew, chapter 10, verse 32. Whosoever shall speak for me before men, him I will speak for before my Father in heaven. Paul from 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Eric Metaxas, belief in God is an act of faith, but so is believing that everything came from nothing. 3.3 billion base pairs of DNA, the human genome. You think that just happened spontaneously in the most complex biochemistry? Look at it. We can't even cure, in the conventional medical system, hypertension, diabetes, coronary heart disease, or any of these other diseases or cancer. But we think that magically 3.3 billion base pairs of DNA wrote themselves. That's nonsense, okay? I was an A+ student in evolutionary biology at Stanford. I can tell you there's no way it happened spontaneously. I don't know exactly how it happened. I believe God did it because it's so far beyond humans, it's not even funny. Okay, now let's get back to the paintings. Okay, this first painting is by Caspar David Friedrich, sort of the Romanticism painter of Germany in 1825. And you see them looking into a cemetery. It's called Cemetery Entrance. Okay. And it's sort of like, where are things going in the future? Here's another one of these Caspar David Friedrich paintings. Lutheran General Romanticism. Lutheran German Romanticism. Again, sort of this looking into the future. What does it hold? What is the meaning of life on this earth versus elsewhere? Okay, now here's a nice comparison painting. This is The Isle of the Dead by Arnold Bachlin. Okay, let me get it more in center. Sorry about that. Okay, so is that what we're heading to? Just, death. I mean, look at the modern culture. It's all the culture of death, What does it tell women? It tells women being a housewife and having a bunch of babies is bad. Up until the 1960s, that's what women always did. They had about 10 kids and raised their family. That was a normal thing for human to do. All of a sudden, 1960s, oh, being a wife is bad. Having children's bad. Get an abortion, okay? Be like Stevie Nicks of, Fleetwood Mac. She had 4 abortions, okay? And every man left her. It's like, you're going to, do that to my baby? Screw you, you bitch. And then she ends up, with no kids, all alone. So what I'm trying to say is the modern world's insane, all right? It tells women that the greatest thing they could do is bump off their baby. That's insane, okay? What kind of culture can survive if the women think their glory is to bump off their babies? That's insane, okay? And then it tries to pretend there's no such thing as a man and a woman, that there's no difference between a man and a woman. This is what is taught to a society by people who want that society to be destroyed. You want to collapse the population, tell them there's no difference between a man and a woman, having babies is bad, okay? You need to not have any more babies, but in the meantime, we're going to flood your country with people who hate your guts and want to bump you off. What kind of a strategy is that? Look what's happening in England. They said there's too many white people living in the English countryside. We need to replace them like with Muslims that hate them and are going to destroy them. A bunch of men of military age come in there and beat the shit out of all the people living in the country of Britain. Brilliant. Wow. They got good leadership there for them. Okay, The Island of Life by Arnold Bachlin. Okay, now this is what I'm saying is this is sort of the choice. You're going to accept Christian ethics, teach people about the ancient Greeks and Romans in the Bible, and we can all live happily together, and everybody's going to be fine. There's more than enough food to feed the planet 7 times over if we're growing plant foods, okay? There's plenty of food, and we can be happy and we can get along, or otherwise we're headed, as it looks right now, to, the cities of 15, minutes, okay? You want to be eating crickets, okay? Plant-based meats. Oh, God. Please, not that. Okay, now here's a nice painting. The Bridge, Circle of Life by Walter Crane. And we all got to go through these things, from birth, the rites of passage, until our time comes, pass on to the world beyond. So you might as well be nice to each other, make it better for everybody as you go along. Anyways, that's a beautiful Voyage of Life type painting. The real Voyage of Life, of course, is by Thomas Cole, but that's a magnificent, similar type of painting. And here's kind of a nice one. This will be the last regular painting in this book. I still got a whole bunch more paintings. I'm going to go through all the inventors and scientists and sort of intellectual heroes of the West in the next chapter. But this will be the end of just sort of the cultural aesthetic stuff. There'll be a few more in the last page, but this is really the last chapter that's going to be culturally aesthetic. The other ones are going to be on some other things. So anyways, Hip Hip Hooray for Western Civilization by Peter Croyer from 1887. Nice painting. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed all those beautiful paintings. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I got some great more stuff coming up from this book, but it's going to be more like the history of science, technology, and achievement rather than this cultural, aesthetic, artistic stuff. So anyways, I hope you're enjoying it.